What's going on, guys? So today's video is going to be a very uncomfortable video because I'm going to do something that I think a lot of people have wanted me to do for a long time, and sometimes I think they feel like I sugarcoat videos to avoid doing this, but I'm going to do something that a lot of folks are going to be happy about and probably upset about at the same time. Hang tight, I'll be right back. All right, you gotta love road construction, trying to navigate all of this. Seems like road construction takes excessively longer than it really should. Whenever they're doing road, I think this road right here is taking over a year or something like that, a couple of years. It's kind of crazy. And I might go ahead and turn just so I can avoid going over any more of it than I have to. You know, it's kind of interesting. Road construction and RV construction kind of go hand in hand, because even when they're done and you think it's perfect, you find out that it's not. Okay, so the point of today's video is a very, very contentious one. A lot of folks who watch this video are gonna definitely be a little shocked, but at the same time, I think a lot of people will definitely have that eye-opening moment, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. The topics are the realities and the proper expectations when it comes to buying a new RV. There it is. That's the topic that everyone came here to see, because it is going to underline a lot of things that I think people already believe if you've owned an RV, or if you've done research, even if you've watched some of my videos and you've seen some potential issues that could happen when you buy an RV. All right, first on the table, construction quality. Expect when you are shopping for an RV on a lot that there will be problems. That you may walk through a unit that seemingly looks fantastic, but if you look close enough, you're gonna find some problems, whether or not it's trim, whether or not it's carpet or vinyl, cabinet problems, potentially something in the bathroom. Shoot, you may even discover a slide, a window, or a plumbing issue right off the bat. You're probably gonna find something. And if you don't find something when you walk the dealership lot, it will likely appear within the first 3 to 6 months of owning the RV, which means something that you can't see or something that's just not readily visible when you're doing a walkthrough, even when you buy it and you're doing your pre-delivery inspection, your PDI, even though the unit's probably gone through 2 additional PDIs before you've actually purchased that unit, you're likely going to have some type of issue or multiple issues that rear their ugly head within the first 3 to 6 months of ownership. Sometimes it's really, really awkward stuff, like the little black soft trim that goes in the channel around the edge of the exterior of the RV coming out or cracking, or whether or not it's a suspension related issue, or possibly even, you know, a little bit of water getting in here or there, or a window. I drove by one the other day that was on the interstate and the side window was completely open and sticking out, and I'm thinking, was that a broken component or did they just forget to latch it? Anyways, something's gonna happen, so just expect it. If it doesn't happen, great, but don't count on it, because something is gonna happen, and 9 out of 10 times it won't be major, but it could be, right? That 1 out of 10 times it could be something that's pretty significant. Just expect it, even on a brand new unit on your first trip. That's why they call your first couple of trips shakedown trips, because you're shaking the unit down, you're trying to discover what all of those initial problems are, you're going into it with the right mindset, understanding that you may and possibly will and likely will find issues that you'll have to address on that trip, or when you get back, or on the next trip. But they're gonna happen. The next one, and I probably should have put this one first, is price. You need to shop around. You need to check out what's going on locally at dealerships. You need to read reviews and feedback. You need to try to find any possible hint at the price of the unit you're paying for or you're looking at being competitively priced to other units around the country or even the area. Go into it with the expectation that if you live and are shopping further away from where most RVs are manufactured, which is Elkhart, Goshen, or Middlebury, Indiana, that you will pay more for that unit. But understand that you're only paying more because the freight company, whoever hitched up to that unit from the factory or from the holding lot and brought it to you, charged more because it was a longer drive. There's more per mileage fees whenever you are taking an RV to Florida versus taking it to Tennessee or versus taking it to Georgia or Alabama. If they have to tow that RV further to get it to the dealership, you're going to pay more. Whether they bury that cost into the RV, whether they charge it as freight, but there will be an increased cost. Now, you may say, well, that doesn't make sense because I'm looking at a unit in Tampa or I'm looking at a unit in South Texas, and it's actually less expensive than the exact same unit in another part of the country that's closer to that manufacturing hub. Well, if that's the case, then the other dealerships you're looking at that are closer to the manufacturing hub simply charge more for their units. Most RVs have roughly a 70 to 100% markup over manufacturing costs whenever it hits a dealership lot as an MSRP, as the manufactured suggested retail price. The fair price for that unit is generally going to be between 25 and 33% off of that price. Some of that depending on where the dealership is located. Also, some of that's dependent on the freight cost of getting it to them. So just go into it knowing that generally the further you live away from where they're built, you're going to pay more. Next, go into RV shopping with the understanding that some manufacturers will take features away to give you other features. For instance, not everybody uses an upgraded suspension or higher end tires, but that doesn't mean that they didn't absorb that cost somewhere else in the unit. They might have put it in the interior hoping that you're never going to look at the suspension or tires. They may put a larger AC unit in, or they may put a bigger TV or higher end appliances or fixtures to move the cost around, where some manufacturers might take that cost and put it into the suspension, the tires, the wheels, the axles, things like that. Manufacturers know what they can build a unit for. Manufacturers understand what their competition is doing and the advantages their competition has. And a lot of times they'll communicate with dealerships to know specifically what people are looking at and what they're asking for on units. And if they're not asking for wheel and tire and suspension upgrades, if they're not asking for disc brakes, if they're asking for things like two-tone trim or, you know, a nicer shower or a nicer bedroom or a larger space for this or that or soft closing drawers, the manufacturer might say, well, why are we going to invest the money in one area when we can invest it in the area that the customers are actually talking to dealerships about? So keep in mind, you may see two units that have the exact same MSRP. They may even have the exact same wholesale price or dealer price, but one of them does something different than the other simply because they're trying to focus on an area that you're looking at versus an area that you may not pay attention to. So what I recommend is always try to look at the entire picture. Focus on the suspension, focus on the lighting, focus on the insulation, focus on the windows, focus on the technology that makes the unit hold up longer, and also focus on the things on the inside. You may find that you're going to have to pay a little bit more if you want everything. But you also may find some dealerships willing to discount units heavily because they want you to get into a unit that's less likely to give them repair or service or warranty related issues later down the road. So 9 out of 10 times, it all comes down to really what the dealership's trying to do. How much of a discount are they trying to give you? What quality of unit are they selling you? How do they plan on servicing that unit after the sale? And are they purchasing and bringing in units that are less likely to have problems versus units that just look really good but might use a bunch of crummy components, if that makes sense. And then finally, don't sign anything until you've walked through your unit. Do a full PDI, a full walkthrough, find all the problems, get them written down, documented, and make sure that your dealership is willing to address those issues either right away or within a reasonable time frame and get that in writing. It's very important that all of you understand that when you're shopping for an RV, the dealership wants to sell that RV. They want to get it off their lot so they can bring another unit in, and they ultimately want you to be happy with your purchase. But if you have a whole laundry list of problems that you passed over when it was on the dealership lot while you were looking at it, they're unlikely to get to them as quickly unless you have something stating that they've agreed to do those repairs before you purchase it or within a certain period of time after purchasing it. And that's all really important stuff. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up with that. I have more stuff I could talk about. I might make another video on it, but I don't wanna make this video too long. I hope this has been informative. If you have other ideas or suggestions, please put them in the comment line below. Let other people know what you think is a really good practice whenever shopping for RVs, and if you have expectations that need to be set before getting into RVing, period. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.